Hello everyone. Today we're going to be working on building the base of our controller. So we've got the faceplate mostly done. Now we just need to do the base. And it's pretty straightforward. Let's get to it. First I'm going to do is flip it over and look from the bottom. I'm going to create a sketch on the bottom face of the controller. That'll capture the geometry of that face. I'm going to flip mine so that it's vertical, or that it's right side up. I don't need this panel here. Get rid of that. And now I'm just going to do is I'm going to extrude this. And when I extrude this, I'm going to extrude the whole thing, even these openings, because my base won't need these holes in them. And I'm going to tip it side so I can see what's going on. And I'm just going to pull this down to a distance of 35 millimeters. And right now it's joining it to the face, making it all one solid chunk of wood. Instead, I'm going to say, no, I want a new body, creating a new thing here, and then click OK. And now that I go back to the home view, I can see I've got my base. Now it's solid right now. We'll have to hollow it out, but that part's easy. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my bodies folder and change this body 4 name into base or something like it. Whatever you want to call it is fine. And I'm going to hide the faceplate now. And I want to first bevel this bottom edge. I don't want that hard edge on the bottom. I could do it in one of 2 ways. I could do it as a fillet, and I'll just show you that real quick. Don't do this with me. I need to connect. These aren't coming in together. And then I can fillet this in. And I can make it rounded over, and that would be really nice. It would feel good to your hands. The only problem with filleting is that when we go to 3D print, down here you can imagine as it prints each layer, these first bunch of layers have to go really far out to get to the next layer, which means they're going to be hanging over space and they're just going to kind of slump down. They're going to have something to rest on. So an undersided fillet like this is not good for 3D printing. What we want to do when we have a situation like this, instead of filleting, we're going to do a chamfer. And a chamfer is a harder edge. Let's see, chamfer right there. I'm going to choose this bottom edge here, and if you need to, add in the extra edges that didn't get caught up, and then chamfer it up. I think 5 mils looks pretty good. And the difference here is, you can see, is that each layer is, there isn't this part where it's super steep. There's just this first part here where it's just the constant steepness. Every layer will stack nicely on the layer above it. So this will give us a nice print. I'm going to click OK here, and then that part's done. Now that we have the overall outside shape of it done, we're going to go ahead and do what's called a shell command. So under the Modify menu is a shell, and it asks for the face that's going to be the opening side of it. So in this case, this is going to be our opening. Next thing it's going to ask us is, how thick do you want the wall to be for the shelling? So here we can pull this arrow in. You can see it'll have a thick or thin wall, whatever you choose it to be. Notice how the bottom moves up as well. So when we're shelling out, it's considering the thickness of all the sides all at the same time. The nice thing about shelling, I'm going to go to 3 millimeters here, is that it is consistent across the whole thing. So it's maintaining a 3 millimeter thickness along this bevel and along the base, all around everything around curves, all of this. So take care of a lot of hard work for us. All right, awesome. So that's the overall body. And now we can let's put our faceplate back on. And you can see how it's going to just fit really nicely. Next thing we need to do is we need to actually put in some places to mount screws into. So we're going to screw the faceplate onto the base, but we need something to screw it down into, so I'll have to add some material for that. To do that, I'm going to go back to my sketches folder and find my sketch that has all my components on it and turn it on. I want to make sure that as I build this, I'm not building something that's going to be in the way of my components. So one thing I noticed right away is it looks like I was going to put one right here in the corner, a screw, but this is the outline of my joystick. So I want to avoid that. I can't put one right in the corner here. Down here is kind of a similar thing. So maybe I need to avoid down in that corner. This corner looks totally fine. This side and this side look fine as well. And I could probably squeeze one in right up here and right up here if I needed to. So I'm looking for a place to maybe get 4 screws. I might do 1, 2, 3, 4. So just look around trying to find places where you can get a screw in. You really want enough space. So here's the bevel that I have at the bottom. I want to have the screw inside that bevel area. So that's plenty of plastic to get in there. So anything that's clear of that is fine. I actually do one, I'm going to do one right here at the top, here, and then maybe, yeah, I'll figure it out. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to go ahead and actually turn off that sketch I just turned on, and I'm going to create a new sketch right on this surface. So I'm on this top edge here, and I'm going to project on this bottom shape. That way I know where that bevel ends. I want to keep my screws inside that space. And now I'm going to turn my sketch 1 back on and just kind of take a look. So yeah, I'm going to put one right here. So I'm going to just do a quick extrusion, escape. I'm going to turn the sketch 1 back off, and I'm going to extrude out just this piece in here. To do that, I still need to project that piece. So I'm going to do P for project. I'm going to project this piece up, and I'm going to use it for my extra piece. I'm going to extrude this, and I'm going to do it to an object because I'm trying to extrude down to a beveled surface. So I'm going to extrude right to there. That's going to join those, and that's okay. So that's the first place I'm going to put a screw. I might do the same thing over here and just make it balanced. I'm going to turn my face, whoops, nope, I'm going to turn my sketch 1 back on. Yeah, so I'm going to put another one. Let's put the top view here. Yeah, I'll put another one right there. That'll be good and balanced. Escape, turn that sketch back off, create a new sketch for this new one on that same surface. I'm going to project up, this time just this part right here, and then extrude it down. Again, all I'm doing is making some extra space in here so I have something to sink a screw into. So I'm creating some extra plastic so I can sink a screw into it. Okay, that looks good. And then let's turn that first sketch back on and just come down here and confirm. You know, I think I'm just going to take the 2 corners. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I oversized this. I think I'm okay. So I'm just going to do another escape. Oh, sorry. Close sketch 1. Create one more sketch. I'm going to pick up these 2 bottom ones. I could have done this all in maybe faster. Actually, maybe this won't work. I can't remember. Click OK for the projection. So I use P for project. And then I projected this shape down here up to my sketch. Now I'm going to hit E for extrude. And I'm going to extrude this one and this one. I don't think I can do this though. Let's find out. To an object, which is that. Yeah, so that's why I was figuring you can't project this shape down to this one. It won't let you do that. So I'm going to come up here to the select object. I'm going to X off the profile and the object and just redo it real quick. So there's the profile I want to extrude. And then the object I'm extruding it to is this base feature here. And that will work. I'm going to turn that right back on. So I'm going to go back and turn that last sketch on. And I'm going to hit E for extrude. I'm going to extrude this one. And then distance to object, and my object is that little piece right there, and okay. All right, so now I've built up a little extra plastic. If I wanted to go through and I could fillet some of these edges and knock off some of these hard corners, but what I want to do for sure, is I'm going to turn off this last sketch. I'm going to create another, my final sketch on this surface, and I'm going to put in holes for the screws. And to do that, I'm going to grab the screw that I'm going to use, and I want to measure the outside thread. So I've got some of these longer, thinner screws like this. And I'm just going to measure with my calipers the outside threads. And I'm getting something like 2.3 on mine, so I'm going to round that down to 2. That way the threads have a little bit of plastic to bite into. I don't want them biting in too much or they'll crack the plastic, just enough to kind of have the threads engage. So I'm going to cut some 2mm holes in all of these. And I think I just got to find a place for them. I think on these two, I'm going to do a construction line from this corner to that corner. That didn't work well. Maybe from this one up. Escape. So I'm just trying to create some geometry so I can position these holes kind of in the middle of, and I wanted 2mm. And this one needs to be an actual construction line, so I'm going to use it to extrude with. And hit enter. And maybe that's it. Maybe I'll just make it, this looks pretty good. I'm going to make it tangent to that, which means barely touching. And that's my geometry I'm going to use. For you, you have to use your own geometry to figure out how you're going to place these well. Or you can actually just place them randomly as well. I like to be really precise with things I do. So that's why I'm going through this little bit of extra trouble. Creating a couple extra lines. And then a circle. It doesn't take too long once you figure out what you're doing. And then a quick tangent. I'm going to tangent this circle to that line. Awesome. Now I'll figure out a new technique for these down here. And maybe what I do is just take a construction line, I don't know, from this diagonal down to the midpoint of this curve. That looks pretty good. I don't know. And then pop in a 2mm circle here in the center of this line. Yeah, that looked pretty good. All right, just making stuff up as I go. I'll just do the same thing over here. So this time I'm going to go from this outside corner to the middle of this curve somewhere. There it is. Grab a quick circle, turn off the construction line, 2mm. Awesome. I've got my 4 extrusion points done. So I'm going to hit E for extrude, zoom in a little bit. And extrude these 4 holes. I'm going to pull them down like, I don't know, 20mm-ish. 20, 25mm. Click OK. That's plenty enough. So that's the holes that the screws are going to go into. There's enough plastic there for the screw to bite into and be able to hold itself in place. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Next thing to do now is we need to actually create some holes in the plywood faceplate. That way the screw holes line up with the screws below. And these holes we need to make like a little bit bigger than the 2.3 so that the threads don't engage the wood. They just pass through the wood easily. They engage the plastic only. So to do that, we're going to first hide the faceplate. That's not true. Bring the faceplate back on. Create a sketch on the faceplate. That'll capture the geometry of the face for us. And now we need to project onto that faceplate, that sketch, the image or the geometry of the holes we've already created. To do that, I'm going to hide the faceplate so I can see the base. I'm going to hit P for project, and then I'm going to click right on this outside edge. Before I do that, I'm actually going to turn on the construction lines. I want to project construction lines, not real lines, and I'll show you why in a second. And we're going to just click on this face and then say OK. Now what that did was it projected from the geometry below the shape of everything onto that top surface sketch that we have. Okay, turn the faceplate back on. And now I need to add holes on top of all 4 of these holes. So I'm going to hit the circle tool and I'm going to turn the construction lines off because I want a real line here. And I'm going to do 2.5, I think. That should be big enough to clear the threads easily. And hit enter. And I'm going to do that same thing for all 4 of them. So C for circle, click on the other one, 2.5, enter. Computer's running a little slow. C for circle, 2.5, enter. C, 2.5, enter. And now I need to cut these holes, so I'm going to use E for extrude to do that. I'm going to click on all 4 of these holes. I'm going to flip it over so I can see the bottom of it, turn off the base, and just have it extrude to the object and make the object the back face of the controller faceplate, and then click OK. And now I can turn the base back on, go back to my home view, and I've got 4 holes and 4 screw holes below ready to go. This is now ready to be printed. Do a quick save here. And I'll put together a video in the next video showing you how to take this shape of the faceplate and send it to the laser to actually cut it out and make it. Good job. Hang in there.